Hello and welcome back to KnowHow Academy. This is Coach Junaid. There are two types of people in this world, the ones who get nervous and the others who are liars. That means the others also get nervous, but they are lying. They are trying to pretend that they are not nervous, but they are also nervous. So it is natural to be nervous. It is okay to be nervous because everybody gets nervous at some point of time. So if you are also getting nervous in your interviews or in any professional meeting, it is okay to be nervous. What you just need to learn is how to control your nerve and how to pretend that you are not nervous. And that is what we are going to discuss in this video. The one best way to avoid the nervousness, one best way to pretend that you are not nervous is to smile. So what you need to do is throughout your interview you need to smile, because if you are not smiling you might look nervous. So smile is the biggest weapon to fight with the nervousness. So whenever you are in the next interview, keep smiling throughout your interviews and you will not look nervous. But still there are few ways to overcome the nervousness and the anxiety in the interviews, and that's what we are going to discuss. So basically I'm going to share 5 things with you which will help you to overcome the nervousness during the job interviews, not only job interviews but also in any professional meeting. So let's get started. First, let's discuss what are the reasons why people get nervous in the interview or in any professional meeting. The number one thing is that maybe the fear of rejection, because you don't want to get rejected in the interview, but that thought is coming to your mind over and again, that what if I get rejected in this interview. So maybe that's the reason why you are getting nervous. The other reason may be your past experience. Maybe in your previous job interviews, you were not able to crack them, you got failed in those interviews. So the same experience is coming with you, and because of that experience, you are getting this thought that what if I get failed in this interview as well. So that is another reason why you get nervous in the interviews. The third reason may be the uncertainty, because you don't know what is going to happen in your interview, what questions they are going to ask you, and what you need to respond to their questions. Or maybe you don't know what is going to be the result of your performance and of your presentation, because there is nothing clear. So maybe that's the reason that due to uncertainty of the job interview, you are feeling nervous. The fourth reason may be the self-doubt. You don't have confidence upon on yourself. You don't have confidence on your skills and your knowledge. You are not confident that whether you are going to crack the interviews or not. Maybe that self-doubt is making you nervous in the interview. And one of the biggest reasons why people get nervous in the interview, those who don't go prepared in the job interviews, they always feel nervous. But if you go prepared in the interviews, you prepare everything before you go to the interview, then you are not going to feel nervous. So these 5 can be the reasons for getting nervous in the interviews, and we are going to discuss how to overcome the nervousness and the anxiety in your job interviews. So the first thing what I want to tell you is that mindset is the key. Let me ask you this question, okay? When you were in your 10th and 12th board classes, when you had to appear in your board exams, what was your approach before going to the exam? If I'm not wrong, your approach was to crack that exam anyhow. Your approach was to pass that exam anyhow, and not only to pass that, but your approach was to get good marks, to score good marks, maybe first division 70, 80, 90%. That was your approach, because you could not afford to fail in board examination. Same thing when you are in the job interview. If you go with the same approach that I have to pass this job interview anyhow, I cannot afford to fail in this job interview, if you go with the same approach and mindset, you will be able to crack your interviews as well. So the mindset and the preparation are the key, because if I'm not wrong, before going to the final exam, board exam, you would go to the school on regular basis, you would also go for the coaching, and you will start preparing or doing self studies at least 3-4 months before the examination. But ask yourself, what is your preparation for the job interview? Are you preparing well or not? So you will get the answer by yourself. So mindset and preparation are the key. Let me give you another example. If I ask you a question, or maybe the interviewer is going to ask you a question, if you know the answer for that question, what would be your feeling? You would be confident because you know the answer. But if you don't know the answer, then you cannot feel confident because you don't know the answer. So the confidence comes from the knowledge and the skill. So before you go to the interview, you have to go with this mindset that I have to pass this interview anyhow, and you need to go prepared. You need to go with the required knowledge and skills before you go to the interview. The second thing, which is very important, which is attitude is everything. So what kind of attitude you are having while you are going for the interview, that matters a lot. Let me give you an example. We all know about the Virat Kohli. Virat Kohli is one of the best batsmen in the world. He scores runs in almost every match. He always bat and score good runs, 50s and centuries in almost every match. But what is the secret of that Virat Kohli is able to perform in every match? So once in an interview, the host asked him that what is the secret of your success? Then Virat Kohli replied that whenever I go to play any match, or whenever I go into the field, when I'm standing on the pitch, I just tell to myself that this is the first and last match of my life. Whatever I have to do in this match only. I have to score run anyhow, because if I'm not going to score runs in this particular match, I'm not going to get opportunity for the next match, and I will be out of the Indian cricket team. So what I'm trying to tell you is that if you go with the same attitude in your job interview, that this is the first and last job interview for me, I have to pass this interview anyhow, otherwise I'm not going to get more opportunity to be in the interview, or I'm not going to get any job offer after this interview. So if you will go with this attitude, what Virat Kohli has, that this is the first and last match, this is the first and last interview of my life, I have to pass this anyhow. And trust me, if you go with this attitude, you will be able to crack each and every job interview that you are going to face. So you need to be in the present and focus on what you have in your hand. Don't think about your past experience, even if you're not able to crack those interviews. Or don't think about, okay, if you're not going to pass this interview, maybe in the next you are going to be successful and you're going to get the offer in the next interview. No, you have to focus on the present. You have to focus on what you have in your hand. This opportunity which you have already in your hand, you have to grab this opportunity and you have to give your 100% best so that you can crack that interview. So go with this attitude. The third thing that you need to do is you need to visualize the success. There is a famous quote by the Napoleon Hill which goes like this, that whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. So you need to train your mind. You need to tell to yourself that I am going to pass this interview and I am going to get the job offer from this interview. You need to start visualizing the positive things about yourself and the positive outcomes of the interview. You need to start visualizing, because once you will start visualizing positive, you will have the positive results. But if you are going to visualize negative things like I'm nervous and I'm not well prepared and I don't think so if I'm going to crack this interview, always say to yourself that I'm well prepared, I'm confident, and I'm perfect fit for this role, and I'm going to get this job for sure. You need to start visualizing the success, the good things, the positive things about yourself in the interview. And you need to visualize that the interviewer is impressed with your answers and presentation, that interviewer is asking you questions and you are giving the positive answers and you are really able to impress the interviewers, and eventually you are going to get the job offer and soon you are going to join that job. You need to start visualizing the success for yourself, because there is a law of attraction. Whatever you attract, you are going to get in your life. So if you attract positive things, you will get positive things in your life. If you attract negativity, you will get negative things in your life. So start visualizing the success in the job interview. The fourth thing that you need to do is you need to practice the mock interviews. Practice makes a man perfect. We all know that since our childhood, and that is 100% true. So you should not go into the interview without practice your mock interviews. Without practicing, you can't just go to the interview just like that okay, let me face this interview, and you are not prepared. That is not going to work for you. And basically there are two ways you can practice for an interview. The one way is you can practice the mock interviews. Before going to the interview, you can practice everything. You can practice your introduction, you can practice how you are going to answer the questions, you can practice how you are going to make the use of your body language. You can practice everything before you appear in the interviews. The other way to do practice is that if you don't practice the mock interviews, then eventually once you are in the interview, there you will get the experience. So you can use your actual interview for the practice purpose, but then by doing this you might lose many interviews because you are not practicing the mock interviews. So actual interviews, you will have to lose many interviews, and maybe after 5-10 interviews you are going to get the experience that how to appear in the interview. So I think it's better that you practice the mock interviews, you practice your introduction, everything, and practice will help you to evaluate yourself. It will give you confidence that how you are presenting yourself, how you are answering the questions. You can practice with one of the professionals from the industry where you are going to apply for the job, and then you can do the practice there. Tell them to ask you the questions related to the interview, related to that job. You can take the help of the job description, and based on the job description, talk with one experienced person, and you can get the knowledge, you can get the due skills from that particular person, that how you need to be in the interview. So you need to practice everything, your introduction, your answers, and even if the interviewer is going to ask you any counter questions, so how you are going to reply to those counter questions, what can be the counter questions, you need to go well prepared. But even after that, if you are feeling, after all your preparation with the attitude, with the mindset, and with the mock interviews, if you are feeling depressed or if you are feeling stressed and nervous, then you can try this. You can practice deep breathing. It is a very simple exercise, but it's very, very effective, okay, to release your stress. So you need to start deep breathing, and you can try it by yourself. You can do it at least 3 times. You can do it now. Do deep breathing 3 times like I'm doing. You can try this. Trust me, you will feel much better after doing this deep breathing. And there is an interesting story related to the deep breathing. Once Mahatma Buddha was sitting and was doing meditation on a hill. Suddenly one person came there, and he started shouting there that he wanted to end his life. He wanted to commit suicide because nothing good was happening in his life. He was just fed up of his life. He wanted to just end his life. So he was about to jump from that hill, but then suddenly Mahatma Buddha approached him and asked him that why you want to end your life. And he said that because he's not having any good reason to live longer. He has no good reason to live in his life, so he just want to commit suicide. Mahatma Buddha tried to convince him that suicide is not a solution, but he was not convinced. So what Mahatma Buddha did, he just asked him to just give him 5 minutes and come and sit with him and do what he is asking to do. So they both sat down, and Mahatma Buddha asked him to start deep breathing like he is doing, and then at least 10 times they both did the deep breathing. And after that, Mahatma Buddha asked him that how he's feeling now, and he said that I'm feeling better now, I'm feeling much better. Then he said, okay, now I think I don't want to commit suicide. That's the power of deep breathing. Okay, so you can try this whenever you feel nervous or stressed. Just close your eyes and do the deep breathing. This will really help you. So before going to the interview room, you can do the deep breathing so that you can feel relaxed. And also when you are in the interview and you are feeling stressed there, or you're feeling nervous there, at that time also you can just do deep breathing. If you don't want to close your eyes in front of the interviewers, at least you can do the deep breathing 2 or 3 times, and you will feel relaxed for 100%. So try these 5 things. Mindset is the key. Go with this mindset that you have to pass this interview anyhow, and you have to go well prepared with the due knowledge, with the due skills, that is required to pass that interview. Don't go unprepared. And remember, attitude is everything. So go with the positive attitude and tell to yourself that this is the first and last interview opportunity for you, and you have to crack this interview anyhow, and visualize the success. Okay, before you go to the interview, at least 1 week or at least whatever days you have got, you have to start visualizing the success before you go to the interview, because once you will visualize the success, you are going to apply the same thing in your actual interview. And please, you must practice the mock interviews. Don't go unpracticed in the job interviews. If you are going to do the more and more practice before you go to the interview, definitely it's going to help you a lot, and it will not let you be nervous in the interview. And as I told you, practice deep breathing. So do all these things, follow these things before you go for your next job interview, and trust me, you will not feel nervous and stress in your interviews. And thank you for choosing KnowHow Academy for your source of knowledge. Even after that, if you have any question related to this particular topic or related to any soft skills or job interview related questions, you can let me know in the comment section. I would love to address your questions.